But I actually spelt fudge, and with my GCSE results, can I just not go to that? Because I was crying my eyes out. I was in absolute bits, like childhood friend gone very abruptly. I won't say too much, but it ended up in basically IEDs were everywhere, and mines and everything else. Like every time I moved my foot forward, I thought I was going to stand on something. I completely lost it. Elastic band completely went. Just went from like being there, being absolutely fine, to homeless within 6 months. I scared the living shit out of myself. I was in a doorway in NatWest in the middle of crew. I had a sleeping bag, I had my phone, and I had 5% battery left on my phone. It says fucking job centre above the door. Like, give me a job. Do you know what I mean? Like, and why is this so difficult? So I was like trackside, nearly getting run over, like trying to YouTube how to use this camera. But I mean, there's still people leaving and still people struggling. So has it changed enough? No. You've got your wish. Mm-hmm. Fuck off, goodbye. Like, you should be making your own films. Like, they look wicked. And I was like, oh, right. Like, how the fuck do you do that? A guy walked out halfway in absolute bits, like, because he resonated so much with what was on. Mm-hmm. And he was like, this is fucking me. But I was getting death threats and all sorts before the premiere. Mate, honestly, fuck up. I am not fucking scared of anyone, and anybody wants to go to war, like, let's go, because I'm not going to stop, and we're going to make this film, and it's going to be out there. Try not to laugh.
Hello and welcome to Becoming Lucy with me, Hannah.
And me, Lucy. So today we're talking about service, but it's not the kind that ends with medals and applause. We're talking about what happens after the uniform is hung up, when structure disappears, the adrenaline fades, and you're left alone in your own head.
Yep, in the UK, thousands of veterans struggle with mental health, housing, addiction and isolation after leaving the forces. For many, the hardest battle doesn't happen overseas, it actually happens at home. And approximately 1 in 3 veterans have felt suicidal at some point in their life, and many never say a word about it. And in 2021 alone, around 253 UK Armed Forces veterans died by suicide, accounting for nearly 5% of all deaths from suicide in England and Wales that year.
And today we're joined by someone who has lived this reality and turned it into purpose. So we have Richy Thrower, who is a former British Army soldier. He's now a filmmaker, storyteller, and advocate for veterans who are still fighting their battles at home. So Richy, thank you for joining us today.
Hello, how are we?
Yeah.
Good, thank you.
That was a great intro, by the way. I don't know how you did all that without. I would not have been able to do that without stuttering and mumbling, and you smashed it.
Oh, you're welcome. We've got lots to say about you, actually, so we were very pleased to put that together.
Hopefully good stuff.
Amazing what a bit of ChatGPT can help with, though, as well.
Yeah.
Right, before we get
class.
started then, you guys do briefly know each other. So tell us a little bit about that introduction before we move on to your story, Richy.
Well, yeah, I was very, honoured, shall I say. I've got a friend called Laura who invited me to Richy's film premiere, which was crack on. That was back in November, wasn't it?
Seems like a lifetime ago.
Yeah,
Seems like a lifetime
it was
ago.
actually really nice weather that day as well, wasn't it? So that's why it feels
I know.
even more
Well,
odd.
we ordered the weather and the check didn't bounce.
And I'm from your socials. I was following it as you were promoting it, and the sort of premiere looked amazing. Was it everything you hoped for?
Yeah, like it was definitely the most. I don't really get stressed anymore, but that was a lot of pressure just because you want it to go right, don't you? Like I want everything to be perfect all the time, and like there's so many different moving parts. Like after it just made me, because I don't like other people. I very much like doing everything myself, which is not a good way, I know. But we live in a world now where you get let down so much by different people. You just want to make sure it was all perfect, and I just absolutely ragged myself to make sure it was all bang on. To the Sunday, I was just ill for a week.
Oh.
But we're here on it.
We're definitely going to be going deeper into Crack On later in the chat, but we want to know how it all started first.
Yeah, so going back to young Richy, I mean, you joined the army as a teenager. didn't you? And
Yeah,
how
so
did that all come about?
I literally went straight after school. Main reason I was a bit of a mad kid, we'll say. I wouldn't say I was mad. I was bored. Like I was always dead excited about doing stuff. School I really struggled with because I couldn't sit still for more than 2 minutes. Still can't now. But yeah. So it was more so. My dad was like, "You're going in the army because you're going." Like I was always fighting and never start anything, but you'd always fighting and messing about and police knocking on your door, and it was nothing like nothing major really. But he sort of said he had enough, and he was like, "Listen, you're going in the army, like, and that's it." So he marched me to the careers office. I didn't have any GCSEs, and he literally just went, "Well, I did, but I didn't get any good ones."
Right.
But I actually spelt fudge and with my GCSE results because I got put on. Can you remember it was called study leave when I was in school? So it's like when you're in year 11, they put you on study leave so you can study at home. Well, I got put on study leave in year 9. So the
That's not saying everything about your character.
yeah, yeah. But so we did that, and I got I got escorted into the school to pick up my GCSE results, and my GCSE results said down, and it was letters then, and it said FUDGE, and I thought it was the best thing ever, and I started laughing, and the headmaster was like, "What are you laughing at?" I was like, "It says fudge," and he was like, "At least you listened in English. Have a good life." Like, but yeah, so went joined the army then. Because I didn't have any GCSEs, I had to go infantry or a driver. So I was like, "Well, what's infantry?" And he was like, "Oh, you go on the front line and fighting." I was like, "Yeah, I love fighting. Like I'll do that." So did that. Went to Winchester because I was only 16. You go like army foundation colleges, so it's like college, but it's not. So
Right.
because you're still under the age of 18, I had to do 6 months at Winchester and then went to Cattrick, and I think Cattrick was another 6 months or 3 months. I can't really remember. But and then you go off to battalion, which was in Germany then.
Wow.
But yeah,
And obviously,
yeah,
people have a kind of misconception maybe that soldiers are confident and certain and purposeful, but kind of you've just destroyed that myth with basically your dad telling you needed to go to try and get some of that energy out. So,
yeah.
what are the
And don't
parts
get
of
me wrong. Oh, sorry, mate. Go on.
no, I was just going to say, what are the parts that you felt you had to like harden or hide to survive that environment if that wasn't naturally you?
I think I got on with it really, really well, really quick. But also, it was more. It was the first time I'd ever listened to anyone as such. Like, because I always thought in school, you know, like even back then, teachers were just to me, like people just read off a textbook. And because, if you asked, for instance, I got suspended once from school for asking. So I had the same that my science teacher was my RE teacher, like who teaches religion. This was in year 9 or year 8. And he was teaching us in science the lesson before saying that we all came from monkeys. And then in the lesson after that, he
Hmm.
was telling us that it was by two people that were shagging underneath a tree. And I was like, well, which one is it? Like,
Yeah.
you've just do you know what I mean? And you
Yeah.
just ask them questions, and then you'd end up having an argument. And I got suspended for it. And I was like,
I
"What the
mean, it's
fuck?"
true what you pointed out, really, isn't it? And obviously,
Yeah,
I know teenagers are different to kids, but it's like I'm thinking about my toddler. She's like 3.5, and she calls us out on stuff all the time. And you're like, well, actually, yeah, you are pretty right. So you're only doing that, weren't you?
yeah, yeah. And but like that was every sort of teacher. And you look back now, and you're asking questions that you should have been asking, really. But I never really respect. There was obviously a couple of really nice teachers and who I got along really well with, but most of them I didn't. So when I then joined, so I didn't respect any of them as such. Like, so when I joined the army and people were screaming at you and telling you all these things to do, but they rock up with a rack full of medals, and I'd be like, oh my god, like these people are like ninjas. They've been to war like 10 times, and so you've got like a level of respect for them. So who am I to give them
Mm,
shit and question what when they've done all these crazy things? And it was the first time I'd actually ever listened to anybody properly
mm.
and
I
actually
suppose because they
respected
believed
someone.
in what they were doing, though, as well, isn't it? Because obviously, like you said, the teachers then are just saying it and they're not believing in what they're doing. And then,
Yeah, Yeah, and they're just reading off a textbook, aren't they? Whether
Yeah.
it's any different now, I don't know.
And you were saying that about shouting and screaming, and obviously you respected that, which to me is crazy because I feel like I would completely hide away from that. But what else did you respect in that environment? Like, what was your experience of the army like?
Like, I loved the routine of it. Like, you always sort of knew what you were doing ish. Do you know what I mean? You were always doing something similar, or you had a routine. Like, do you know what I mean? You wake up at 5:30, you have a shower, you brush your teeth, you get your kit on, like you go out on parade, you go, you go and do an hour's of fizz, you come back, you eat. Like, so it's very like you have a routine, and like even now, me dad, I was not having an argument, but it kills me dad when he's got me 7-year-old lad today, and he was like, right, I'll drop him back off tomorrow then, and I'm like, what time? And he goes, oh well, I'll just ring you, and I'm like, no, just give me a time so I know, so I can plan my day. Do you know? And I'm still like that with everything, and it's got to be like not a routine, but everything's got to be planned and stuff like that. So I can't really shake
No, I
that,
can
but
definitely
it's
relate
good.
to that. I'm quite like that as a person. I like to know what time people are coming, like like regimented. We're
Yeah,
hanging or
yeah,
not,
yeah.
are you?
Well, it's like
Oh.
to be fair, I mean, it's a really weird situation because I totally get that because I'm late for everything, basically. That is what Lucy's alluding to. And all of my friends will be like, yep, she's late for everything. It takes me 3 to 5 business days, Richie, to reply to someone, honestly. But in the same breath, I also operate better when I've got complete structure and routine. And if my day to day like goes off script, for example, even if I've got to change the time that I walk Loki, my dog, like it does something in my head. And I think that's where I'm at such a contrast of it because I am totally a bit more like loose with timings, but only because I probably procrastinate too much that makes me be like that. And I get in this vicious cycle of wanting to be like completely structured because I operate better that way. But then I'm also a bit like airy fairy. So yeah, I can't work up my own mind. So I don't expect you guys to. But yeah, Lucy, you, even though you're like quite spontaneous in certain elements in certain ways, yeah, like if I, if we've got a meeting and I'm 1 minute late, I'm getting a message.
I'm like that. I'm like that. Where are you?
So that routine then that you said you've obviously brought in to your sort of day-to-day life, would you say that's the main thing that you learned from being in the army, or are there any other major takeaways that you got?
I think the biggest thing I took away from the army, and which I still use today, is no matter how shit, no matter how stressful the situation is, no matter how bad everything is, you still need to get everything done that you're meant to get done to 110%. Because that is drilled into you, whether that be, in a war zone, in camp, like anything, like you have to get the job done. And I look at everything like that now, and I've done ever since, because and that, allows me to get stuff done that, I don't know, not normal people, but like people would go, oh, I'm having a bad day, I'm just going to go home today. Whereas I'd be like, no, everybody else is going home, I'm staying here, I'm getting it done. Do you know what I mean? That sort of thing.
And does that give you like a sense of like satisfaction then, or is that because it's just so drilled into you that you can't lose that now?
I love it. Like, it probably is like drilled in. You probably shouldn't love it, but like, I had my appendix, not last year, the year before. My appendix had burst, and I got rushed into hospital and I had to have an operation, have my appendix out and stuff. But I was meant to be in Belfast 2 days later for a client, and I went to I booked myself out of hospital and flew to Belfast to work, and everyone was like, "You're an idiot." I was like, yeah, but nobody else in the world would do that, would they? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
I
I'm not
get that
letting
with
people down.
routine though, 100%. Because I know when I had my obviously my accident, I was still planning my races. I was still saying I was going to hold like these workshops at the gym, and people were like, Lucy, like you've literally nearly just lost a limb. I think you're not going to be capable. But I was still doing it. I didn't end up doing it because I literally was off like completely not in the recovery, like whatever I should
Yeah.
be. But I was
Yeah,
telling people I was going, I was doing this and I was doing that, and I wasn't.
you've got to
I
be
think as well, not
obsessed,
letting
haven't you?
people
Like,
let
Yeah.
down. I don't like letting people down either. It's
yeah,
like it was also that kind of thing. But
And
yeah,
and
yeah,
like hope is the only thing you can cling on to sometimes, I think. And mentally, if you can keep yourself mentally strong, it does aid your physical recovery, and also it keeps you sort of on track. So, and because of your personality, Luce, and we covered this in the first episode, I can totally imagine you being like that, because you are that positive person. And I suppose, Richie, that's probably something you can get from it as well, from your time in the army, that you've obviously seen a lot of shit, which we will probably allude to at some point during this conversation. So actually getting up and doing things and getting things done is a way of being like grateful that you're actually alive and that you can do it. You know, if you think about it the other side. So maybe that's something
100%.
that's in you as well.
100%. Like it flicked a switch when I come back from Afghan. I realised how lucky I was. That was when I really like dialed everything down as a person and such, because you'd just been there and seen the way that they live over there. And then, you know, you can get on a plane, lucky enough to get on a plane, come back over here, and the next day you could be in a really, really nice car, you know, in Starbucks or drive-through. And like, we take so many things for granted, but like when you go somewhere like that, you realize actually how lucky you are as a person to, like, you know, be able to wake up in the morning, have food in the fridge, like have a mobile phone. Do you know what I mean? Like all these small things that we all take for granted in life, like that, like there's thousands, millions of people out in the world that haven't got them privileges, like.
Yeah.
And that's why I don't really moan. Like, I never really moan. I always say to people, you know, if you're over here, having a bad day is a choice, like, because we're so lucky to have all these things that so many people don't have. I'm just happy 24/7 because I'm grateful for everything that we've got.
No,
Yeah.
it's
And that's
definitely the best
definitely,
way, isn't it?
yeah. And
Like,
it's a,
I was just talking to Hannah before we started this episode, and
yeah.
like talking about a certain person. I won't put it on there. Just things to listen to like do my head in, the moaning, the draining my energy. Like I'm not used to this. Like
Mo- Mood hoovers and
Mood
energy
hoovers,
vampires.
yeah. I called my other half one of those years ago, and my friend pissed herself. She was like, I was like, you've been a mood hoover. And she was like, what? I was going to say, though, I said to Luz, I was like, wait till we speak to Richie, though. Our whole perspective will shift, because it is true. And obviously you've just talked about Afghan. And like, can you tell us a little bit about like what you did, what you saw, and kind of the things that you're alluding to as part of being sort of grateful to have the things we have over here?
It's just their way of living, mate, is just backwards. It is the maddest. Don't go there on holiday. Like, do you know what I mean? It is the most maddest place you will, and the things you will see are the maddest things you'll ever see. Like, and it is just a mental place. Like, the weather's nice, but apart from that, everything else is shit, and
Tell
it
us
stinks.
yeah,
what
there's
do you
that
see on a day to day?
one.
You can't, like, for instance, you'd go out. I was so paranoid, like because there was so much at the time, you know, because we were on the front line, like we were doing ops in Porpoise and all these like really dangerous places in Afghan, and like I because you'd had it hammered into you about how many IEDs were everywhere and mines and everything else. Like every time I moved my foot forward, I thought I was going to stand on something.
Wow.
And like, even though you weren't, and it, you know, there's markers and indicators and stuff like that. Like you could go, like a good indicator would be like, you could go to a village, like you could go on a patrol one day and everywhere's villages, everyone's farmers and there's fields everywhere. Like, and there'd be loads of people around and everyone coming up to you being nice and stuff like that. And then you could go on patrol in the same place a week later and there's nobody around anywhere. Like there's
Wow.
nobody. But that's when you know it's going to kick off, because Terry Taliban's gone in, told all the people in the village to go and listen, they're going to come through here and we're going to cause a shitstorm. So go. So you'd go back to the same place, whether it be, say, I don't know, 50 people, 100 people walking around, to there's nobody. It's a ghost town.
And
So
like,
you knew it was
imagine
going to go off.
the villagers living their life like that. Like
Oh, it's wild.
that just, it's heartbreaking in a way, isn't it? Because,
Yeah.
you know, I think you guys will be the same, but you know, my home is my comfort zone. And even though I've lived here, there and everywhere, like the older I've got, the more kind of secure I feel in my little space. And like the thought of having to like uproot and obviously move, and like you said, it's backwards. They obviously haven't got half as much as what we've got, which, you know, again, incredibly grateful for. But still, that's still their home. That's still what they're used to. It's still,
Yeah,
how
yeah.
they're bringing up their kids to just have to move on all the time because they're at risk of being killed. I just couldn't imagine it.
And this is something that I go back to all. This is probably the only thing that really, really bothers me about that whole situation is all the people that you're seeing over there, like the kids and like the families and, some really, really, really nice people that genuinely were really happy that you were there. Because essentially the Taliban, they're a gang. Like,
Yeah.
they are literally just wanting to take over and bring in a load of horrible laws and stop women to getting into education and like all these like horrible, horrible, weird manipulating things. And I always think now all the time, like there isn't a week that goes by that I don't think like, how are they living now? Like how is it for them now that we've gone? Because they were dead happy that we were there because that would have all been turned on its head when we left.
And how old were you at this stage then? Because I know we said teenager, but
I was 18. I flew out there
18.
straight away. I was 18, yeah.
18.
And it was just mad. It was bonkers. It was the maddest time ever, but it was the worst place I'd ever been, but the best thing that ever happened to me.
Yeah.
In terms of like the person you are today and the things that it did, like I'd probably still be walking around like I wasn't a wanker before, but I definitely didn't appreciate as much as I do everything now.
Yeah.
100%.
And what a great thing to take out of it. And like you said, when you were there, you can definitely feel that sense of protection that you were given to those people. And I think you should be proud of being part of that at the time that you were. And obviously you're not there anymore. And like you said, can't imagine how they're living. But when you were there, you were offering that protection. So hopefully you get to remember that as well and give yourself that little pat on your back because not everyone goes in the army. Not everyone can do it. And I think those who do are just commendable, 100%.
Oh, thanks, Anne. Nice one.
How long were you in the service for then? So you went in as a teenager and then
5 years I was there. I left very abruptly. I won't say too much, but it ended up in basically I was at home on leave from Afghan, and my best mate at home died in a motocross accident on the Sunday. So I was meant to go back on the Monday, and my best mate died in a motocross accident. And I rang me platoon sergeant, and I was like, "Listen, I'm in Birmingham Hospital. My best mate is going to die in the morning. He smashed his head, and his brain's bruising, so it's going down to his spine. It's going to kill him. But if he doesn't kill him before that, they're going to turn his life support machine off at 7 o'clock in the morning." I was meant to be in a course the day after, and I said to my platoon sergeant, I said, "Listen," I said, "can I just not go to that?" Because I was crying my eyes out. I was in absolute bits, like childhood friend, like gone. And he just went, "It's not immediate family. Get to your fucking course." Poof, and put the phone down on us.
Wow.
So I was just like, what the fuck?
yeah.
Okay. I completely lost it. Elastic band completely went. Commanding officer came up to me and went, "Are you going to leave the army or are you going to continue the way you're behaving?" Sorry, he said, "Are you going to continue the way you're behaving or are you going to ruin your career and you're going to leave the army?" And I went, "What do you mean?" And he went, "Are you going to continue the way you're behaving and ruin your career or are you going to leave the army?" And I just went, "Oh, I'll just get out tomorrow then, shall I?" And he went, "Right." So he walked off. The next day, I was out the army, out the gate, done, and they medically discharged us for an ankle problem that I never had.
No way.
So he just got gone.
Right.
And it was just because I just went mental. I just absolutely lost my mind. But then obviously I came back home and it was just the only thing I knew how to do was to go to the pub. And it just spiraled and spiraled and spiraled and spiraled and spiraled.
Well,
I literally just went from like being there, being absolutely fine to homeless within 6 months.
Wow. Well, there is so much to unpack. Like,
oh
my God.
Stop! Slow down!
Richy,
Slow down!
I hope you're ready to stay here for another 3 hours because there is so much to unpack.
Hold on a minute.
Right. Get your feet up, kid. Okay. So, your best friend died. Tragic. The way you were treated, tragic.
I just went off. Like, it was just, and I suppose you've got the whole Afghan thing and it was fine. And then I've come home and you think everything's okay now. Then your best mate dies. And you were just filling up the glass with loads of different things until it just went bang.
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
gonna
And that
say
was
that
it.
it was like, was it a bit of everything and the grief, and then that was just tops it off, and
Yeah.
fortunately,
Yeah. And I was crying my eyes out.
Yeah.
I
wow.
completely
Yeah.
lost my mind. I scared the living shit out of myself.
Yeah. And do you think from a like mental health perspective, obviously when you're seeing all these things in Afghan, do you think that there's that service out there for you guys that are on the front line to deal with that? Or is it kind of just left and then all of a sudden something happens like what happened with you?
Well, it's very weird, like, because, I was really lucky. Nobody in our platoon section like died. So a lad from our battalion died, but it was a different company, and I wasn't there. But it while you're there, you're still in a war zone. So
Hmm.
like, he had mates that were in the same platoon as me, and it's like Bellingham's lost his life. We're going on patrol at 3 o'clock. Like, do you know what I mean? There's no, you're still there. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? You haven't got time to grieve. Like, you haven't,
Yeah.
and that's the whole thing of crack on. That's why we want to do the feature, because you are religiously told, well, we need to crack on. We need to crack on.
Yeah.
We need to crack on. And I think that whole crack on thing that you're told is just filling up people's glasses, and then people just go off like a bottle of pop eventually.
Wow.
Yeah, and I take it there was no support then either, was there? There was no one coming in to
Absolutely
see like
nothing.
what the mental
No,
state, why this was caused, like
no,
investigate
nothing.
like or any
Well,
of that.
you would just, if you go AWOL, which is like absent without leave, if you
Hmm.
go AWOL, you're just seen as the knobhead that went AWOL. Like, you have let everybody else down because you've stayed off and you've not been able to help people there. So you are literally like, you're a shitbag for staying at home. And
Mm.
you just treated like a shitbag because of it. When actually, well, like, you look back now, like, all of
Yeah.
that toppled over.
Yeah.
Because it's just like, I'd never, ever, ever, ever treat anybody like that, ever. Like, and it's disgusting. Like, you look, but I am dead grateful for that, like, time,
Yeah.
because that's when you see when, that's the really, like, that was the lowest point in my life, like 100%.
And then you got backdoored, like you said, with an ankle injury that was obviously never there.
Never there.
And then you came back to the UK. How was that transition then? It must have been a very, very strange situation because you'd obviously reflected, but you were still obviously not okay. You needed some help. Then you came back to the UK. Talk to us about that transition then. What did you do? You mentioned about going to the pub all day, every day. So talk us through that chapter of your life.
Well, so going back to the school thing, like, this is why, and everybody that did the same sort of entry, like, mirrors that, really struggles. And the reason being was, you grow up, your mum and dad tell you what to do. You go to school then. You go to school tell you what to do, and a little bit of your mum and dad still telling you what to do. You then leave school. I left school, joined the army. They tell you what to do. They tell you when to sleep. They tell you when. So you're like institutionalized up until I was 21 years old. So I left, and at 21, like, knocking on the door at 22, and I'd never been left to my own devices, ever. Like, I've always had direction from somebody. So I left, and I was like, right, all right, I can just do what I want now. So I literally got home. My mate rang us, was like, right, come on, let's go to the pub. All the lads are here, blah, blah, blah. I went to the pub, got absolutely obliterated. And then hungover. And I was like, I woke up the next day and I was like, I need to get a job, surely. Like, how do I? And I literally said, I can remember saying to my dad, like, how do I get a job? Like, what do you have to do? And I was 21 years old. I was like, what do I have to do? He was like, well, just go, like, I don't know, go to the job centre.
Yeah.
So I was like, right, okay. So I got a shower, got ready, went to the job centre in Crewe. I went to the front desk. I spoke to this lady there and I was like, hi, love, yeah, I just left the army yesterday. I want to try and get a job. And she went, right, well, what we'll do, sit down. So I sat down with her and she went, right, okay, so I'm just going to fill in this dole application for you. And I was like, I don't want to go on the dole. And she said, well, let's put you on the dole until you get employed. And I was like, I don't want to be fucking unemployed for that long. I was like, I'll go work today or tonight or tomorrow,
Yeah.
whatever it may be. Oh, well, no, we'll put you on the dole now. And while you're trying to find, so I was like, I don't want to go on the dole. I was like, I'm not going to be unemployed for that long. I want to find a job. It says fucking job centre above the door. Like, give me a job. Do you know what I mean? Like, and why is this so difficult? And I was like, I've literally just left the army. And you're religiously told, like, oh, if you go in the army, anyone will give you a job and this, that, and the other, which is fucking bollocks, by the way, because you can't even get one in the job centre. So I said this to the lady at the desk. I was like, I've just left the army. Like, surely somebody will give me a job. Like, I've just literally come out yesterday. And she laughed and went, doesn't work like that, mate. And I was like, oh, so what do we do then? She's like, well, we'll put your name down for this, that, and the other. Never heard anything off them. So she just wanted me to put on the dole. I had a phone call a week later.
They got targets
saying,
or something.
Like, do you want to? I know.
Jesus Christ.
I know. Let me just fucking give you money. Like, and it was, and she said, I can remember saying to her, well, how much is the dole? And she was like, it's 90 quid a week or something. I was like, fucking hell. I spent that in the pub last night. I can't fucking do that. So my mate said to us, he was like, right, we'll go a job agency. So I went to this job agency in Crewe, and they said, right, yeah, brilliant. And it was dead funny because I turned up to the job agency for like warehouse work, and I was the only person sat in the office in a suit. So I was like, I think I'm in the fucking wrong place. And she was like, and the lady at the desk literally like sniggered and went, why are you in a suit? I was like, because this is a job interview. And she's like, yeah, but you're going to work in a factory. I was like, yeah, so? And like, there's just a load of scumbags in trackies and fucking, pissed out their heads. And so I look well out of place.
Well, don't lower your standards. I think it's great that you turned up how you actually are.
Yeah, exactly. So they said to us, it was like, right, we've got you a job. You could start tomorrow. It's in a warehouse, like 3 miles away from your house. It was like, great, we'll pick you up and everything. I was like, brilliant. So I went to this warehouse. I was there for no longer than an hour. And I had a T-shirt on. And there was a supervisor there who was like Romanian, Polish, or whatever it may be. And he came up to us and he said, tomorrow you cover that tattoo up. And I've got a tattoo on the back of my neck that says English and proud. It looks like it says English and round, by the way. And he said to her, I was like, cover what tattoo up? He was like, oh, that racist tattoo on your neck. And I was like, how is that racist, mate? Like, I wouldn't be bothered if you, from wherever you're from, and you said you're proud to live from there. Like, and he went, tomorrow, wear a hoodie, you cover that tattoo up. I went, no. Like, it's not racist. And then he got his finger and he went, tomorrow, you fucking... And before he could finish his sentence, I dropped it.
Oh, God.
But I was like, cheeky bastard.
No.
No, nothing. No, nothing. Nothing. Like, it wasn't like anything major. Do you know what I mean? But so then I went to walk out of the gate, and because you're on agency and it was all turnstiles and everything, I couldn't get out. So I had to walk back in and get another supervisor, and he was still fast asleep on the floor, and I had to get another supervisor to come and let us out. And I was just like, fucking hell. And so, but then I went home, and my dad's going absolutely ballistic, going, you can't fucking behave like this. I was like, why? Like, this is what I've been doing for years. Do you know what I mean? Like, and there's no, and something as stupid as, you're a kid. Nobody's sits down with you going, right, you're leaving the army now. You know the way you've behaved for the past 5 years, you can't behave like that anymore. And I know that sounds ridiculous, but when you're a kid and you don't know anything else, there was never any conversation like that. When you actually, I know I left a bit abruptly, but even somebody sitting you down going, this is how the normal world is, you perhaps shouldn't do this, that, and the other now.
So no aftercare then, is there? There's no aftercare
nothing.
at all.
I mean, I don't know now. I don't know whether that's changed as such. But, I mean, there's still people leaving and still people struggling. So has it changed enough? No.
And we've said about that earlier on, that it seems like you kind of leave and that side is almost just compartmentalized. You did that. You experienced horrific things whilst you were obviously on the front line. There's no aftercare. So what was your mission then, obviously, when you got back and your dad told you can't behave that way, you've just knocked someone else out? Like, what was your thought process then? And what were you thinking about what you've created now, what you do now? Was that what you were thinking of then, or did you go on another little journey before you got to it? Or
Nothing. What what I do now is a total accident. So, like, fast forward from that up a little bit and went through all sorts of different jobs and just couldn't do anything. And then I was drinking dead heavily. I was doing a load of drugs, which I shouldn't have been doing, and just completely just self detonated to the point then when me mate, good mate of mine, still mate today, he said, listen, he said, I work in security. I work on a site in Stoke. Let me help you, and I'll get your badge, and you can work on the same site, do the nights, and I'll do the days. So we did that. I did my badge, flew through that, absolutely fine. Went into security, and I'd do the night shift, and he'd do the day shift, and then I'd sleep in his car in the day. And we did that for like 2.5 months until I got enough money together to get a little house in Stoke. So I did that, and then
how did you end up in the car then? Obviously, so you were 22 years old, warehouse not for you. Then you had a load of jobs, drink, drugs. How did you go from what seemed like you had quite a close family with your mum and dad whilst you were in the army, and then you've just obviously said you end up sleeping in a car? So fill that blank in for us.
Yeah. So because when all the drinking started and everything else, I just turned into an absolute nightmare to the point where my dad just, and quite rightly so, just said, you can't live in here anymore. Like, you need to get out, because I'd smash all the within, a few months, every single door in the house had gone through, every painting, every picture had come off the wall. I wasn't in a good place. It wasn't in a
Was
good,
that
and just,
anger still from the army and what had gone
yeah,
on? And being
yeah,
kind of
everything. Yeah.
lost with that?
100%. Yeah. And just because you thought, the way I sort of thought was, I've given the last 5 years of my life to this and put 110% in. And the first time I'd ever asked for anything, I get told to fuck off. And I was just like, but because of how bad I then was, like, and I could, I was sort of becoming a shit person, and I just had all this blame on them to go, like, you fucking done this. Do you know what I mean? And you've made me, and you've like gelled me into this. And I hate you for it. But so my dad ended up kicking me out and was just like, you're not fucking living here. Like, I can't. And, there's no grudges. I've got a really good relationship with my dad, like, and I completely understand. I would have done exactly the same thing.
Yeah.
I would have, like, because it's just a nightmare.
And then did you ever reach out to very, like, the charities, like, like the British Legion, or, like the ones that, I can't remember the name half of them, but do you know what I mean?
Well, half of them aren't even worth mentioning, mate. But so it got to the point, I was in a doorway in NatWest in the middle of Crewe, and I had a sleeping bag, I had my phone, and I had 5% battery left on my phone.
Wow.
And the first time I'd ever asked anybody for any proper help, and I was in tear, I was fucked. And, and I rang Help for Heroes, Royal British Legion, SAFA, Soldiers Off the Street, and I think that was it. And I rang every single one of them and was like, listen, this is the first time I've ever felt like I'm in a fucking doorway, my phone's going to die, like, what do I do, or what do you do? How can, is there anything there? Like, is there anywhere to stay tonight where I can go? It's fucking freezing. And they just went, every single one of them said, we'll take your number, we'll take your email address.
What?
We can't help you at the moment, but as soon as we can, we'll give you a buzz or send you an email and tell you what to do next. Now, I've never changed my personal email or my phone number since that day, and I've still never had a phone call or an email.
Oh my God, that's terrible. And the fact that you
And they
said to
make
them you had
millions.
5% battery. So how the fuck were you going to get a phone call back when you had 5% battery? That's
This
what
is what I mean,
in my
like,
head. I thought, we can't answer the phone.
Yeah. But I just sort of went, right, all right, I'll try the next one, blah, 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 and then my phone just died. And it was just, and that's why I've got such an ump now. And there's a video, so they did I think it's called Op Fortitude. So, like, a thing for that now, the government started this program. I'll try and find the video and send it you. It was on that GB News. They'd rang in and they got sent to a voicemail. So it was like, and he never got a phone call back. And I think this lad ended up dying of like hypothermia on the street. And it's just like, it's still, you know, I watched that and was like, fucking hell, 10 years later, still nothing's changed.
It's just tragic, isn't it? Because, like you said, you just said they earn billions, and you would like to think that obviously if you end up in that position, I couldn't imagine being in that doorway and after your problems, after your trauma, after obviously being kicked out, rightly so, by your dad, like you said, to be in that doorway and you've rang five, not just one, five, and you've been given no help. So what was the next step after that? Where did you go to get help?
Just kept drinking. I didn't. I didn't even try. That was literally the only time, because I just thought, well, I'm just wait. The whole time I was waiting for them to ring me.
Yeah.
So I just carried, I was like, right, I've rang the main five and just carried on, like, just spiraling. Until then Craig, my mate, saw us and he was like, let me help you and get your badge. So then went in security, and then that's when it all started getting a little bit better. And I got a house and I was like, great, I've got a house, right? I'll save a bit more. Now I'm going to get a car. And you just started building on it then. And then I did really well in security. I literally went from like your basic security guard, went supervisor, manager, general manager, operations director within like 7 years.
Wow.
And I smashed it. But then that company got bought out and it was all very messy. And while I was doing the security, so when obviously I used to do motocross with Matt and stuff, I started racing again, obviously years on, because I wanted to get back into it. But we did supermoto, which is a bit like track, so you don't really do the motocross stuff. But I started doing that, and basically at one of the rounds of doing that, and this is how we got into the video stuff. At one of the rounds, me bike blew up and it spat me off, so I couldn't get my engine rebuilt for the following round. So I said to the club owner, I said, listen, I said, I'm sure my sister's got like a shit camera at home. I said, what if I bring that and I'll do a little highlights video of the paddock and a bit of racing and stuff, and we'll see if we can get some more people into the club. And he was like, yeah, go on then. So I was like trackside, nearly getting run over, like trying to YouTube how to use this camera. I'd never fucking used them. I'd never picked up I'd only ever used my phone camera sort of thing. And we put it on YouTube and it did like 22,000 plays within a week.
Amazing.
And so Dave, who owned the club, was like, Rich, you need to do one of them for every round. I was like, well, I want to buy my bike. So he said, well, you can film on the Saturday and still do the British Championship on Sunday, and I'll pay for your race. And I was like, brilliant. Yeah, I can go racing for free. So I did that. And then literally within, I'd say 4 months, we were doing them I was doing them for like every major championship in the UK. Wow. For like BSB, went over to Navarra in Spain with BSB. And so I was flat out then on the weekends, like every weekend. I was out sort of filming on this camera on a weekend. And then I was working 6 till 6 in the week, get home, and then I'd edit till like 1 in the morning and go back, go to sleep, go back to work. And I did that for a year. And we were on our way to Spain. And I was sat in Manchester Airport, ready to go to film for BSB. And I had an email of HR, and she absolutely hated my guts because they basically, they'd all got done for money laundering, the old company. The new company that I went to, they got done for money laundering, and it was all dodgy gangster shit. So they were all involved in all the money laundering, and I'd come from somewhere where, again, no matter how shit it is, you have to get the job done. And it was really good. So I became like public enemy number one within a very, very short space of time, because they never worked, because we were just laundering money. Mm-hmm. So the guy who'd bought the company had obviously started seeing this. So they were just trying to push us out, all the old people. So I had an email from HR when I was sat at the airport, and she said, listen, we need a performance review. And I knew, like, they'd always be trying to shaft me with something, like completely made up, to the point where I got that paranoid. I was putting my work phone on the side, because it was an open office. I'd go for a fag downstairs and I'd put my work phone on the side and leave it on like a voice memo so I could hear what they were saying. And they were just trying to shaft us. But they were saying, oh, don't tell him this. It'll make him, we need to get fucking rid of him and blah, 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 blah. Wow. So I was bang on. I was right. They were trying to do it.
Yeah, that is clever.
So then after she sent that email, I just went, fuck it. I'm fucking quitting my job. Like I'm going to try and do this video stuff and just see what happens. But, I was on 102.5 grand a year. I had a company car, gold Amex card, whatever I could spend it on. So you'd had everything, like you were happy, like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
so
Had job security, it was comfortable, it was all
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know about the job security bit,
Yeah.
but I was getting a lot of money, and when I quit that, I said to her, I was like, I'm done. You've got your wish.
Mm-hmm.
Fuck off. Goodbye. I'm leaving you no notice. I'm on my way to Spain. Have fun. So I then rang Kirst, who's my wife, and I said, listen, I've just quit my job. I'm done. And she went, you fucking done what? I was like, I've quit my job. I'm done.
You're now getting
I'm
a divorce,
so
mate.
unhappy. Yeah. Yeah, I was like, I'm so unhappy. I fucking hate myself. I'm turning into a shitbag. Like, nobody can speak to me. I'm wound up to fuck all the time. Like, I don't want to do this anymore.
Were you worried at
And
that
she went,
point that it might trigger some previous behaviour? Yeah.
100%.
When you were saying that, I was like, I bet you
100%.
were worried that if you kept getting wound up, you were
Yeah.
going to end up in that same situation.
100%. It was just like, it got to the point where Kirst would track us on the way home. This is every day coming home from work. Kirst would track my phone on the way home. And when I got half an hour away, it'd ping her a message. She'd run me a bath, and I'd walk in. Everyone would go into the living room, and I'd have to go upstairs. I wouldn't speak to anyone. I'd go upstairs, jump in the bath, and I'd have to lay there for an hour and just decompress. And then I'd come back down. I'd be fine, because if I'd walked in and everyone starts jumping on you and shouting and screaming, I'd just lose my brag.
Yeah.
And it was horrible. Like, to think that, it's disgusting that to think that is what you had to do.
Yeah.
It's disgusting. Like, what a
Yeah.
horrible place to be. And it was. So I left that, and literally by the Wednesday or the Thursday, we were sat down watching a film, and Kirst was like, I've got your back. And I was like, what do you mean? She's like, you don't understand how fucking different you are this week to what you were last week just as a person. Like, you've completely changed again, like back. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
you put well too much pressure on yourself. Like, whereas me dad, your family, your friends, like, oh, you're a fucking idiot. Like, what are you doing? You're never going to get that money ever again. Blah, 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 blah. And I was like, I wanted to kill someone in work.
Yeah.
Like, I could, and it could have, if God knows what would have happened if I would have stayed there, but it was getting to that boiling point. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
And how long has Kirsty been with you then through your trauma? Like, did you meet her quite early on, or did you meet her after? Does she know everything that's happened? Obviously, I'm sure she does. But where does she fit in kind of your recovery from the army and losing Matt and things like
7
that?
years.
7 years.
7 years, me and Kurt. So I had Kirst met us when I was doing security. So
Right.
all the really shit stuff, which I'm glad. Do you know what I mean? I'm glad no one was, like, relationship wise was involved in that time. But, like, she's been amazing. She's been absolutely amazing. She's really good. And I'd be absolutely lost. I would just left, like you say, left to your own devices and just fucking go mad.
Mm.
But no, she knocks me down a peg or two every day.
Go on, Kirst.
It's like being in the army again, you just got that direction.
She's scarier than the fucking Sergeant Major, I'll tell you. But no, like, she's always stuck with us through thick and thin. Like, even when I was, that ate up and wound up, she's always she never left. Do you know what I mean? She's always still been there. Like, so can't thank her enough for that, really.
Yeah.
And here we are today, Bush.
Oh, and then obviously you went into the media side then, didn't you?
Yeah.
Like, I presume that was just like thrown in. So
It's
how
just
many
total
years have you
accident.
been doing that?
So that first video
Yeah.
that I was saying about then, I filmed that in September 2021.
Right.
And then sort of COVID hit and everything else sort of happened. So all through that, obviously racing stopped. So I just went back to just working security as normal. But then what I was doing was I started reaching out to, like, businesses and stuff at the same time, saying, I do these videos for, like, motorsport clubs and stuff at the moment. Why don't I come and do one for free for your business, like an advert? If you like it, great. Let's talk some prices and stuff like that. And then that just completely rocketed again from, like, the motorsport stuff. And everything just went really, really well, really, really quick.
It's
So
definitely pointing you in that direction, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Every time it kept
yeah,
circling back round.
Yeah.
yeah,
Like,
literally, which is just like, it's just mad. So it was a complete and utter accident. And then I just, when I then quit my job that day, I come back from Spain and I just went hell for leather, like completely, absolutely like obsessed. And I just like, right, I need to make money. I need to make money. I've just been making, $9 grand a month and now I'm at fucking zero. Like I need to sort something out
Yeah.
quick. And then I'd just absolutely caned it. And I was just, I must have, done a daft amount of like free stuff. But then the month after I was rolling. I was rolling, and
Amazing.
then people were just coming back and back and back, and then referrals, and then it just snowballed, absolutely
Amazing.
snowballed.
And then if
And
you
so,
think
yeah, it was a total accident.
and you think about when you were in the doorway at Nationwide,
oh,
and then
no,
Yeah,
yeah.
fast forward to 2025, let's talk about Crack On then. Obviously, you
yeah,
turned you turned your story into a film and the stories of others, and you basically were giving veterans a voice, which often the mainstream media ignores. And we've obviously
yeah,
talked about that in this conversation.
yeah.
The help isn't there, and that you've run charities. So obviously, Crack On was based on you and other people's stories. So what made you get to that point? You've done all your media, you've making the money. When did you think, I'm going to make a story to help veterans?
We've done a few bits for like behind the scenes stuff for different like actual films and stuff. And I did a couple of them, and a couple of people went, listen, like you should be making your own films. Like they look wicked. And I was like, oh, right. Like, how the fuck do you do that? And he was like, and Jonathan from Shogun Films, he just went, the same as what you've done for me, but for an hour and 20 minutes. So I was like, oh yeah, that's pretty, yeah, I get that. Like you've just made that really simple. So did that, and then I was like, what do we want to make a film about? And then I just thought, and someone said, and I cringed, it was like, why don't you make it about your life? You've had a fucking mental time. I was like, no, I can't do that. So we sort of like, he writ down like everything he knew, and he was like, Rich, that's a film. I was like, no, it's not. And I put it off for ages. And then a couple of people that I'd served with went, you need to make a film about all the shit that all of us went through. Like, and I was like, right, okay, so we could do something that's not just me, because that is cringe and I'd hate it. So we're trying to like mix everybody's stories together and just do like the sort of main pain points that people are going through. But like on the other end of it, how many people could it help? And it's sort of turned into this thing now of, imagine making something that everybody leaving the army or Navy or RAF could watch as like a blueprint to say, have that conversation that I never had. Don't go to the pub. Don't do this. Make sure you do that. Don't go down that path. Go down this one. And something as simple as that, as watching a film. Like, how many times have we watched stuff in films and it's made us think about
God,
something like you've
Yeah.
seen? Do you know what I mean? And so I thought, right, that would be a good way. And then with the credits, you could put in organizations, people, that are actually helping people. Obviously, them select few we talked about earlier will not be on there.
yeah.
And actually, listing, because there's no blueprint. When you leave, there's no, right, go and do this, go and do that, go and do the other. Like, you could almost put, contact them as soon as you leave, go
Yeah.
to them for logistics, go to them for housing, help, food or jobs. People are taking on jobs, people are putting you through courses. Like, you can put the whole thing
Yeah.
in the credits of a film. So it's like you've got the blueprint of what not to do, and then you've got the answer to everything in the credits. Like,
Yeah, amazing way to think of that. It premiered, as we talked about earlier, and obviously it's not just about the soldiers, is it? It's about the people around them, sort of
Yeah.
families, partners,
absolutely, yeah,
mates, the struggle up close, essentially.
yeah,
And did
yeah,
that resonate with a lot of people? Did you get any people come up to you after that?
massively. Like,
Yeah.
there was so the short film we premiered was The Last Letter, which was the short concept of the showing people this is what we can do on a really, really small scale. This is what we want to do on a really, really big scale, and do the big one, which is starting in March now. So, and it's going to be a heavy year. But yeah, that's essentially what we did there, is just show people like, this is what we've done with no money. This is what we want to do with money. So like the amount of people, I hate cringy stuff. And to me, like, people going, oh my God, that's amazing. It cringes to me. Like, so to have all them people come over, go, oh, that was brilliant. I was just like, I don't know what to do with myself. But like, you know, the opposite side of that as well, like, I won't say who it was, but like a guy walked out halfway in absolute bits, like, because he resonated so much with what was on, and he was like, this is fucking me. But that's what we wanted. It's not, we didn't want anyone to walk out, but, you know, it's got to be that like raw, uncontrolled version of what is going on. And it's funny, isn't it? Because we emailed multiple times the BBC, ITV, you know, all your major news stations, and about the premiere night and what everything was about and stuff like that. Not one of us got back to us. Not one of them.
God,
so it's like you're fighting an uphill battle. Like,
why do you think that is?
Money. Too much money involved. I was getting death threats and all sorts before the premiere, like random phone calls off unknown numbers. So there was 3 close protection lads at the premiere to look after Kirst and Mace, who's my stepdaughter.
So why were you getting death threats though for telling the story of veterans?
They never said. They never ever said. So people were going like, I had like an unknown number ring us, going like, lights out for you on the 8th of November, and then just put the phone down. I was getting like messages on like anonymous Facebook accounts saying, make sure you're careful when, you know, you walk your kids to school in the morning down Stewart Street, and we're like mentioning the street names and everything. And I was just like, sound, I'm in 9 till 10 at the office, like, come and see us.
Yeah. Wow. Do you think it's just tapped people in the head who just got nothing better to do? Or do you think it's like corruption kind of like, do you know what I mean?
Listen, if you were a charity and you were getting 170 million quid a year and some little shitbag from Crewe is trying to upset your apple cart.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? That's what everybody else has said. Like, what, you know, it happens. Do you know what I mean?
Mm.
God, the dark side of just trying to bring awareness to a situation that you've experienced, because you're not trying to say, and we're not trying to say on this podcast, that everyone that goes into the army, the Navy, the RAF gets treated the same. You're going to have some amazing success stories of these people who make themselves a huge career out of it and say it's the best thing that's ever happened to them. They've had the mental health help from start to finish. You're going to have stories like that, and that's absolutely brilliant. You're only talking about your story, and that you should be able to share that. And if you've got other people that are saying, yeah, that happened to me, yeah, I can get involved in this, yeah, I've got a story to share, then you're just speaking for the people, so to speak. So it's just very I feel feared for you, if that is even a word. This needs to get out, by the way. Like, do you know what I mean? It's like,
no,
it's
leave it
scary.
in. Leave it in.
It's like, I can't get it out. It's like scary. I'm like, oh God, you know, like, yeah. But then I'm a pussy, so I really am.
Mate, honestly, fuck up. I am not fucking scared of anyone, and anybody wants to go to war, like, let's go, because I'm not going to stop, and we're going to make this film, and it's going to be out there.
Yeah, I feel like there's going to be like in 10 years' time this whole documentary out about how like charities and all this, and then Richy's come in and this is how he's making his millions now.
But it's mad though, isn't it? Like, like the whole. But I'd never sort of stepped into the charity sector. And like, listen, there is charities out there doing amazing things, like, you know, Armed Forces HQ in Wigan being one of them. Like, I work really closely with them, and like the stuff they do is nuts, like insane. Like, they have a person for housing, they have a person for food, they have a person for jobs. Like, they literally have every angle, like, to a T, and everyone's busy all day helping people. Like, they'll do therapy sessions there. Like, it's incredible. Like, and then they're building a veterans hub in Crewe, big veterans hub in Crewe that'll have accommodation. Like, they're running everything from there. It's
is that
brilliant.
What you've been promoting at the moment? Is that
no? So this one I've just done is just like just one that I've done just as like a drop-in thing. That's where I am now. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what we wanted to chat about, actually, because obviously you've just opened that now, haven't you? So you're at the hub right now then, you know, spoiler alert, that's where you're filming from.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit more about it. Is it like the one that you've just spoken about in Wigan?
No. So Armed Forces HQ is massive, like huge company, who help like hundreds, thousands of people. Like, so the reason I wanted to do this was, and it is just a room, like it's just a nice space room, like, and the reason was a guy from the council came here towards the end of last year, and there was a guy homeless literally round the corner from where our office is. Like, we've got the podcast studio across the road, and he was living in a container in a tent, right? And he'd just left the army, like 3 months out of the army, whatever, homeless, living in a tent in a container on a building site. And I was like, what the fuck? So he said, yeah, it's shit because he's now got to wait in there for like 3-4 hours because to get the temporary accommodation sort of thing. I was like, so what does he do? He's like, well, he just has to wait until, we get a phone call and we go and pick him up. I was like, is there nowhere you can take people? Like, you're in a really, and it goes back to, how I was like, the best thing that could have ever happened to me then was, somebody pick me up, take me for a brew, tell me everything was going to be all right, and say, listen, I'm going to sort you out, but in the meantime, I'm going to go and get you a brew, get you warm, and this, that, and the other. So I said to him, I said, listen, imagine there's like a little space in Crewe or Nantwich or wherever that you can straight away tell that person, right, we're going to sort you out. It's going to be today. But in the meantime, come here, we'll get a brew. You can have a chat with someone, like get warm. Do you know what I mean? Have a bit of a laugh and get you, with the same people, sort of people that you serve with. And he went, that'd be fucking amazing. I was like, right, I'll do it then. And then next month, literally, we got this, decorate the living daylight out of it. And then we're doing the first event here on the 30th of Jan.
Amazing. So the community have probably bought into it then.
Well, the anyone that everyone that needs it, absolutely best thing, like brilliant. All the younger lads, absolutely, like are dead excited and stuff like that. It's more so like your local breakfast clubs and like the Armed Forces breakfast clubs, which, listen, they're brilliant. They serve a purpose. If you're 70 years old and you want to go for breakfast, so like brilliant, but there's nothing there for young lads. Like I went there and I've been to a couple of them, and all you get is 70-year-old engineers telling you how fucking easy you had it and how hard they had it. Like, that's it. And all of them round here were like, who does he think he is? He can't do another breakfast club in this area. He can't do breakfast in this area. Like, this is our territory. He's going to nick our veterans. And I was like, nick your veterans?
Oh.
Like, you fucking child.
It's like everything's a competition. The charity's a competition. It's
Exactly, like,
just trying to help people,
And I just said, I was like, it's not a fucking competition. I was like, surely the more that's there, the better it is for everybody there. Oh, no, this is fucking blah, 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 blah. And I just went, whatever, mate. Like, fuck off. Like, it says more about you than it does about me. And the fact that I now know that everything you do is for you and not for everybody that needs it. Like,
well, I'm sure
so
everyone.
We've had a few fallouts.
And I'm sure everyone that is using it, like you said, is entirely grateful. And it's only going to get bigger and more
100%.
used. And, who knows, you might end up opening sort of more around different areas. And again, I think that you need to block out that noise and obviously just focus on doing everything you're doing to help. And I think, if there were veterans right now listening to you and they're struggling, what advice would you want to give to them right here, right now, if they really want to sort of know what route to take?
Pick up the phone and speak to them. Like, if you can't find the right person, just message me on Instagram, and I know loads of people. Because it's very, like, location based. Like, that's the thing with ex-forces stuff. It's very, like, Armed Forces HQ, they are the northwest of England. Like, everything they do is in the northwest of England. That's where they're based. That's where they work out of. That's where they operate. So if somebody, like, rang from London, they wouldn't be able to directly help them, but they would probably know someone who can. So I think just speaking, like, if people do ring Armed Forces HQ in Wigan, they would probably be able to put you on the right path. But if you are based in the Northwest, absolutely speak to Armed Forces HQ, because they just do brilliant thing. And they will, like, I've been there for days. Like, I've sat there for a couple of days, at a time on different weeks and stuff, because I'm very much like, before I promote anything, I want to make sure to a T that you are like doing what you're saying, like, and they do. They really, really do.
Yeah.
And is that the same for families as well who are being affected, like the
Everything.
same kind of charities and things
Absolutely
like that?
every aspect, like every aspect.
Amazing. Well, I think we have absolutely explored your whole life today, and we were very much looking forward to having this conversation with you, and you have not disappointed. But before
thanks,
we
mate.
let you go, we ask all our guests the same question. It always lands differently, but we want to know, who is Richy becoming now?
Fucking even I don't know. I don't know. Listen, I just take everything day by day. Whatever happens. Like, I want to make the film, like, the sort of top end of it is to get into the film side of things.
Yeah.
That's what I really, really, really want to do more than anything, like on a big, big, big level. So that's the goal, or one of them at least. But that's, you just every day working towards that. So where it'll go, I don't know. I couldn't tell you. Anything could happen tomorrow. Just take it day by day.
Yeah. So Richy is becoming Steven Spielberg.
Fair looking.
Fair looking. And on that note, if you do need any extras, me and Lucy are more than happy. I'm not even joking. More than happy to be in one of your films. So we are happy to do it if you want us.
Well, Hannah, listen, you can play a part absolutely, as long as you're not late.
Yeah, as long as you're not late. Yeah. Well, no, thank you, Richy, so much for coming on. And I think
thanks,
today
mate.
it's about honesty, it's about understanding, your country
Yeah.
shouldn't mean that you're being left behind because you've served for them. So, and sometimes the bravest thing people can do is ask for help. So hopefully we can put some channels out as well along with the episode. I know you said obviously it's county kind of broad and bred, but they can also reach out for you. But yeah, thank you for trusting us with your story.
Yes, thank
amazing.
you so much.
And have a wicked start to have a wicked start to the week. It's Monday
Yeah,
tomorrow.
you too. Let's go. No, thank you everyone.
And officially rocking.
and as always, like, subscribe, go back and listen to our previous episodes. But we have loads of inspirational guests just like yourself, Richy. So I'm sure you've listened to every single episode, haven't you?
Absolutely, because we've got loads of time. Well, no, and then when you're free as well, mate, nip up for a brew.
Yeah, we'll do.
Yeah.
Come check out the hub as well.
Yeah, go to Winslow. That is it, Winslow?
Yeah.
No, that's dead posh down there. We just no. So I'm in Nantwich, next to Crewe.
Crewe, and Crewe's near Stoke, right?
Sort of, yeah.
A Stoke accent. I feel like you've got a Stoke accent.
No.
Anyway, we digress. We digress. But no, thank you so much. It's been a fantastic episode, and we will catch you later.
Yeah.
Speak to you later. Thanks very much, guys.
Bye.
Take it easy.
Don't hang up. Don't hang up.
Okay.
Me?
No, not you. I'm saying Richy.
Not hanging up.